Today, we'll be taking a look at using generative AI to do some developer tasks and help us to work with our existing code. For this, we'll be using IBM Granite. It's a model-based development environment built to provide developers with the tools to create, test, and deploy machine learning models. It also provides an integrated development environment for building applications using natural language processing, or NLP, and text analytics. Here are some ways you can leverage the Granite LLM when working with code. The first example we'll use is code summarization. So, to help fellow coders summarize the main points of a code snippet. So, not much code, but kind of you need to get the idea over to them. So, come over to our Watson Studio, and you'll notice that I'm using Granite 13b Chat v2. So, this is one of the latest versions of Granite. And I'll simply put in summarize the main points of the following code snippet. In this case, I'm not telling you what language it's in, not really telling what it's doing. I'm asking it to explain to me what this is doing. So prompts like this can help you highlight key concept, variables, and functions. And this is just a simple code snippet. As you see, Granite gives back a lot of information explaining what each variable is doing, what the function is doing, what the overall code snippet should be doing, and it summarizes it for you. This is helpful when you're working on a specific piece of code that may see other people jumping in and making changes. They'll need to understand all of these pieces to ensure success. So let's take a look at something a little bit bigger. Let's take a look at an example using a class. So first I'll hit new prompt, and I don't want to save this. Usually I'd want to save, but in this particular case, because we're just doing this for example, we're not trying to build on what we've previously done before. So this particular situation, instead of a code snippet, we'll get a beefier class in there and ask it to be summarized by Granite. And we'll hit send. So as you can see, the first thing you'll notice is that it formatted the code a little bit. Not completely, but a little bit, so it's a little more clear when we're looking at it. And as we can see here, the entire class is summarized in a way that makes its purpose completely clear to the next developer. Very clear, very concise, and it can be used as a jumping point for the next piece. So, the next group of people that come along will now understand our code snippet and our class. But let's take a look at generating code. A lot of developers are already familiar with this concept. It's not new, but it's also not used universally. The concept of using AI and LLMs to generate code. So when it comes to LLMs, they really want to focus on code reliability, and developers want to be able to gain trust in the various activities surrounding the generation of code. So let's generate a function that achieves a specific task. Again, we'll say new prompt. We won't save. In this case, we're going to ask it to generate a function to concatenate any number of inputs by a user. And in this case, we're going to be specific. We're going to say use the Elixir programming language. So I'm going to hit send, and Granite's going to say, okay, great, you want Elixir? We're going to give you Elixir. And it's going to build some functions that actually help us to do exactly what we were asking to do. This is helpful for data processing or algorithm implementation. Leveraging the AI's response can help to avoid long searching for answers from sources that are outdated or don't solve your specific problem. And I think as developers, we all know what I'm referring to here. So that's great. We've generated a function. What about generating a class to model a specific concept? Like we can use that. We can write our prompt, and it can even get it to write tests for frameworks like Cucumber and Minitest. But for this example, what we're actually going to ask is just, can you generate some code for something I do every day? Or something I do regularly, I should say, which is building a login for a website. So I'll new prompt. I'm not going to save it. I'll come in and I say, hey, as a developer, generate a Ruby class to model logging into a website. And in this case, I'm saying as a developer because just to be sure, Ruby is a common word. It's a common English word that's used for other things. I'm letting it know that I'm looking for programming information. I want to do this as a developer. That's my role. So now I want this to be the AI's role. So, hey, Granite, you're a developer now. Congratulations. Now model me some logging for a website using Ruby. And I'll enter it in. And as you can see, it'll start building a login service using all of the rules that are important to Ruby. You'll notice that with our Elixir example, it used the rules specific to Elixir. Now with Ruby, it's using the rules specific to Ruby. And we can complete, any version we want. It can get very startup-y. It can get very, to a place where we want to begin. We want to not start from scratch. We want to build on the things that we already know. But we don't want to actually have to write every single line of that code every single day. We want to be able to build. So finally, we have an example of getting to the point where we want to complete our code. So this example, we're going to use JavaScript. And this prompt is going to help us to generate missing code from a snippet. So kind of bringing us back around to the beginning where we had a code snippet and we understood what it did, but we wanted other people to understand. This time we have a code snippet and it's not really doing what we want. So we're going to ask Granite to help us to complete that code snippet. We say complete this code snippet, and because it's JavaScript, it already knows. So we go ahead and send it. And as you can see, it starts to say, okay, I think I understand what you're trying to do here. Let me explain what's being done and then actually try to fix the things that need to be done. So in this particular situation, it's going to serialize things. It's going to build. It's going to function and build the function that you want so you can get over that finish line. And this is a fun use of AI when you need to get things over the finish line. It can give you the opportunity to build on code examples that you have, or maybe partially functional code snippets, and get to a place where you have complete code that's actually functional and ready for production. These are just a few examples of how you can use Granite as a code research and generation tool. By leveraging the power of Granite LLMs, you can streamline your coding workflow, improve code quality, and accelerate your development process.